Welcome to the Coventry and Warwickshire Green Business Programme podcast. Subscribe now for more episodes. Welcome to the latest episode of the Green Business Podcast produced by Aston University, Green Health Horizons, Pathway to Net Zero. Now, this episode is a must-listen for anyone interested in the intersection of healthcare and sustainability, and we'll discuss the transformative power of green energy solutions and the collective effort required to achieve a net zero future in healthcare. And within the episode, we'll also provide some practical advice and some really beneficial case study examples.
Good morning, and thank you so much for agreeing to come and participate to develop this podcast on Green Health Horizons, Pathways to Net Zero. We have 8 themes along which we'll have a conversation. So if I can start with the basic introductions. So we can go right from my right side. Dominica, if you could briefly introduce yourself and provide an overview of your organization.
Of course, pleasure. And thank you for having us, Professor Boudoir. Great to be here. So I'm Dominica Walker. I'm the Community Engagement Lead for the Midlands region. And we're a relatively new team working for Tomato Energy, which is a community-led energy provider. We're very much focused on significantly investing in local areas, bringing wide-scale rooftop solar panels and battery storage across local communities, and we empower local people to play a key, vital role in the energy system.
Thank you, Dominica. Sue?
Hi, I'm Sue Manikam. I'm the director and the register manager of a company called ASA Healthcare. It's a domiciliary care service where we provide care service to the elderly people in the community. Our care calls ranging from 30 minutes. We provide night shifts. We provide live-in care service. I've managed 2 domiciliary care services before, and this is the brand new 3rd branch in Solihull near to the airport. That's it.
Thank you. So, Dhiren?
Thank you for inviting us. I'm Dhiren Katwa. I'm the community manager in the West Midlands for Tomato Energy. And my colleague Dominique has already explained what Tomato Energy is.
Thank you. Let's talk about sustainability initiatives, which I hope you and your organizations are pursuing. So can I start with you, Dominica? Could you please share about what specific sustainability initiatives your organizations have implemented with the intention of moving towards net zero emissions?
So look, I mean, it's the answer is, I think it's twofold. So firstly, we're a responsible, committed business to local communities where we keep communities at the heart of our operations. As a responsible, sustainability-driven energy supplier, we work with communities and we're helping them to lead more sustainable lives. And this is not only through providing them with electricity supply, which is ultimately going towards being cleaner, being greener, but also we're taking them on that journey with us, educating them about why we're doing what we're doing, and the impact that everything that's going on around the world would have on our lives and our future. So we're very much, a forward-thinking company. And we do what we preach. So we very much put controls in place within our organization. So be it from if we have remotely working teams, of course, we're jumping on Teams. We use Slack for our instant messaging and that collaboration. We use project management tools that are also online. We're trying to really minimize and reduce that time for travel if we don't have to. And if we do, then as a minimum, we would use hybrid cars. We would use EV charging points, and we would educate our teams about, becoming a little bit more sustainable and responsible.
Thank you. Dhiren, do you want to add anything more to what Dominica has shared?
I was just going to say that Tomato Energy is a community-led organization which is really transforming the lives and livelihoods of people, communities, and we are offering tailored solutions.
Thank you. Sue, the same question to you.
Yes, we brought LED lightings. Obviously, it's replaced our normal lightings. That's reduced quite a lot of electricity for us. And then we brought the solar panels into the company as well. And obviously, we are reducing nearly 67,000 of carbon emissions. Obviously, that's reducing the electricity cost as well. And then in future, we are planning to implement EV charging points to charge all our carers in the community. So that's going to reduce the mileage cost as well as it's going to reduce the cost for the business. And apart from that, into the office team, we brought something called a digital software system. So that's reduced 90% of our paperwork. So those are the sustainability initiatives that we brought it into the business.
Thank you. That's extremely helpful to know that. Let's talk about the challenges when an organization is going on this journey. And we know sustainability is not new. We have been talking about it for such a long time, but the challenges are always there. So perhaps we can go back to Dominica. What have been some of the biggest challenges you have faced in your sustainability efforts? And what have you done to overcome some of those?
So I think as a business, Tomato Energy, I mean, we started just before the energy crisis, all of the different crises that we've had in the past few years. And we've actually gone from strength to strength. So we survived the energy crisis. We obtained the energy supplier status. We have a strong proposition because we are forward-thinking. We are future-proofing the infrastructure when it comes to the energy system for the UK. And we are working with communities so we actually understand what the challenges are. And by listening, by working in collaboration with people, we're able to implement that new forward-thinking element of sustainability, really. And what we've noticed on the other side of the fence with organizations that are really going through those different challenges is just, the lack of education on the topic itself, maybe lack of understanding and clarity on what's actually available out there in terms of funding, in terms of different grants, and certainly the event like today as well, just really showing focus on this. And I think by, people coming together, the local, the regional stakeholders from the academia, from public sector and industry, we're really collaboratively able to help people going through potentially, fuel poverty, fuel crisis. And yes, and we're here at the beginning of this journey, which is exciting.
But Dhiren, earlier during the workshop, we were discussing some of these things. As the community manager working very closely with the community, the general observation is we see that it's the mindset, it's putting things into priority, and it's the kind of strange fear in people's mind to initiate and do some of those things which can really help us to pursue more proactively the whole sustainability agenda. So in your observation, when you put on your present role hat, what kind of challenges you see, and perhaps what can be done so that some of those challenges can be taken care of?
Yeah, thank you for the question. And I think sustainability, as you said, is not a new issue, but it's about, and in West Midlands, we are very fortunate to be so diverse across all strands of diversity. And I think, we cannot have a one-stop shop for everybody. And it's about sort of winning the hearts and minds of individuals, organizations. And we do that by actually championing what are their requirements. Mahatma Gandhi said there's enough in the world for people's need, but not for people's greed. And I think we really need to sort of demonstrate step by step on how we can win the hearts and minds of people. And I think at Tomato Energy, we are certainly doing that.
Mm-hmm. So are you experiencing different challenges? And what kind of challenges are you experiencing at your organization?
When we brought the solar panel into our organization, obviously, we don't know what kind of panel that we need to buy and what kind of battery that we need to purchase. Obviously, we contacted Aston University. They helped us quite a lot in finding out the panels and the batteries. And the survey they've given us that showed us the exact figures, how much of carbon reduction that we are going to brought by using the solar panels, and then the cost, the energy bills. So the energy bill, obviously, the cost is £1,600 per month for us. By having the report from the Aston University, is reduced to £200 to £300 a month. So those are the figures that helped us quite a lot, to overcome the energy bill. That is the biggest challenge for us.
And the example you just shared, where we have clear numbers. So time one, where some of these things were not pursued, and time two, when some of these things have been pursued, and we have a clear example, the amount of money you are able to save. So that's the impact, at least on the financial side. Yes. We can see the impact. Yes. Can I go back to Dominica, to you, and can you talk about how you are measuring the kind of outcome or the impact of your initiatives related to reducing carbon footprint?
Absolutely. And I think there are so many layers as part of this, of the answer to this question. And, firstly, we could be talking about the gains in terms of the financials. So we were able to monitor the energy usage for organizations of all kinds and sizes. And we're able to demonstrate those reduction in costs, but also in carbon emissions, and even through our smart technology that's underpinning all of our infrastructure and operations, we're able to even show you how many trees you've saved, which is quite a significant impact. So all those environmental impacts are there. We're currently doing a bit of a impact study when we're able to demonstrate exactly all the different numbers based on the localities and economies and the regions within the UK and different sectors and industries. But also actually seeing, taking people, individuals or groups or businesses right from the start of that journey towards living those sustainable lives and becoming more responsible businesses by implementing those sustainable tactics. We're able to see that journey that they are going on and actually just getting a little bit more educated in that topic, and not only within their commercial organizational environments, they are able to make those changes in the domestic environment. So seeing that, but also having people understand this new way of thinking when it comes to implementing renewable energy systems, that it doesn't necessarily have to be a nice to have application. It's a very, very inclusive project that we're doing, so everyone can be part of this and everyone can afford this because there is no upfront cost, and we can work with people to do this, to do the installation for free, and all you have to do is just to pay us electricity bills every month.
Dhiren, we can see that there is evidence, there is a change in mindset. The example of increase in the usage of electric vehicles. We can see example of increase in usage of solar panels and so on in the community. So when you reflect and when you interact people in the community, are you seeing more and more people are buying into the sustainable agenda? And are you seeing that people are more eager and forthcoming that they need to pursue some of these things? What's your observation on this?
Absolutely. I certainly have been seeing sort of a change in mindset. It's slow, but it's certainly heading in the right direction. And I think that's very, very important. And it's using these individuals whose lives it has impacted as our brand ambassadors to actually convey the key messages throughout the community. And over the last few months, I've certainly seen that change, and it's really inspiring. It's really empowering.
So you pointed out one example of financial figures where Of course, that's an important bit because as a company, you are investing and you want to see the return on investment. Are you thinking of other measures in due course, more than the financial numbers, where you want to see how the sustainability agenda has been addressed and what kind of impact it may be having?
The impact, when we bought these solar panels, obviously they've introduced one of the app. Yeah. Again, in that app, it shows obviously, how much of electricity that we are producing, how much it's going to the grid. It is really fantastic to have a look into those figures as well, because on a sunny day, obviously we are producing 12,000 kilowatts of electricity. So obviously we are importing some to the grid as well. Yeah. So obviously, that is going to the national grid, and then it does shows that how much the trees that we are planting, how we are saving the environment as well. So obviously we're not doing anything by implementing the solar panel. We are doing something to the community, and it's saving our environment and planet as well. So those kind of the impact.
Thank you. Yeah. That's extremely helpful because we have lots of research evidence where most of the companies kind of initiate things because of financial reasons and so on. But as we evolve and as we continue to move on the sustainability-related agenda, some of these much noble and important things are also being addressed. Can we let's move on to the collaboration and partnership item on my agenda, which I want to discuss next, because we all know we don't operate in a silo as an organization. We are operating in an ecosystem in which there are lots of other stakeholders, and many a times these are your partners and these are your collaborators. And when we are looking at the whole net zero kind of agenda and carbon emissions and so on, it's important that we are working with some of these collaborators and partners. So let's go back to Dominica. How important is collaboration amongst different sectors? For example, the healthcare, which we discussed today, energy companies, which you are representing, or care associations, and so on, in achieving net zero in the healthcare sector?
Oh, it's incredibly important by people, organizations from across the industry, across the healthcare sector, working with the local authority, working with academia is incredibly, incredibly important. When we really think about sustainability, it's been on our tongues in the headlines for so many years now. Now we're getting to the stage where, that elastic band is just about to burst. And we, by really looking at the big picture, by coming together at forums like this morning, we're able to actually realize more and more that we all share the same goals. We're all heading towards the same final of this journey, which is, of course, we understand, the carbon neutrality, reducing carbon emissions, going towards the net zero for 2050 with individual, organizational targets. And by really understanding, we can actually narrow down to those common denominators, and we're able to come up with a solution where we can actually help these groups. But also by, of course, having that knowledge exchange, by continuously educating ourselves and understanding each other's goals as well, even more, it would be even more impactful. And we're able to actually really realistically achieve these goals and those targets set by the government, set by local authorities and our individual organizations.
Let me ask you to build a bit more on this. Where we know the basic principle for success of a partnership or collaboration is where things are mutually beneficial, where if we can create a win-win scenario for everyone. So we understand different partners and different collaborators in our ecosystem. They are at different stages and they are contributing differently. In an ideal world, if everyone is coming wholeheartedly on the agenda, then we can see it will make a much quicker and much more robust impact. Unfortunately, it doesn't go that way. So what would you suggest so that the partnership really is a true, genuine partnership between different stakeholders, so that everyone benefits. And in the end, the impact we are looking here, that is achieved.
I think the answer is simple, is firstly celebrating the success of what's been achieved, really shining the spotlight on what the challenge was, what was the problem, what was the solution, how coming together of all the different stakeholders and partners have made it possible, and just building from that, lessons learned, constantly keeping up to date with changes in the industry, all the different impacts, what's available out there, and trying to, of course, keep up with it, but always being that one step or two steps ahead. So, for example, just to give you an example of our recent collaboration, we got into the partnership with a supplier of green and blue roofs across flat roofs, so large scale flat roofs. And we've known these guys for quite some time. And now because of our status as an energy supplier and really going from strength to strength, now we're becoming this preferred supplier for electricity. So actually adding to their already sustainability driven business, we're able to add our solar PVs and battery storage to really fulfill those sustainability goals for larger organizations and smaller ones with flat roofs. And we're constantly, because we're a pretty friendly brand, we're very much focused on, again, community led. So of course, providing that renewable energy, which is ultimately going to bring that energy security into local areas. Decarbonization, potentially with quite large steps that we're taking towards decentralization of the grid, but also is looking at those sort of impacts and those collaborations for the max impact.
Thank you. Dhiren, you want to come on this, and if you could pull out any examples based on your observations working with the community, because if we try to develop a list of different stakeholders with whom we are partnering or should be partnering, it starts right from the family, right from the mindset of the family, then into school, then into higher education, and then the government, and the list goes on and on. So could you please comment on the kind of partnership and the kind of collaborators or the stakeholders with whom we need to work so that we achieve what we are trying to achieve here?
Well, great question, Pawan. And you're absolutely right. I think working with individuals, organizations, communities, but starting with individuals, because the word of mouth is so powerful. And with a lot of the communities that we engage with, the English isn't their first language. And I think it's very, very important to understand their culture, their background, where they come from, and not just educating them, but educating them in a way that makes sense to them. And they can then sort of advocate our services. So I've heard a lot of stories, but what I've done is I've actually gone into the homes, into the businesses, and spoken to people and in their language, just to understand what have they achieved. And the smiles on their face and the warmth that they've sort of expressed has really sort of showed me and demonstrated that the little steps that we're taking in helping them with their energy bills is really having a huge impact.
Thank you. And Sue, you already pointed out your collaboration, for example, with Aston University and City Council. Could you please elaborate if there are other kind of partnerships in your specific case of your organization where you have tried to work or you have worked successfully, and how you have built on those partnerships to benefit and deliver on the sustainability agenda?
I would suggest other healthcare providers in the community as well, because healthcare providers plays a crucial role in delivering healthcare service in the community. Obviously, they are reducing the burden in the NHS. So it's just a mindset can really link into this because they are helping the people in the community, and they are getting better, and they are having a better life, and they're promoting the independence like that. If more healthcare providers are linked into this program, obviously they're going to help the environment as well as this planet as well.
Thank you. Let me move on to my next theme, which is innovative technologies and staff involvement. Okay, so we are talking about different stakeholders. Within that, staff are important, and we are seeing this massive development in all sorts of technologies, which are really acting as an enabler to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals, or in broader terms, the whole agenda around sustainability. So, Dominica, can you share any innovative technologies or solutions your organization has been using to enhance sustainability?
I think we're very much all about innovation as a core of our business. If we don't innovate, the impact and those changes and the transition towards net zero just won't be really achievable. So yes, so we're talking about the partnerships, the collaborations. Innovation plays a crucial part in this. So we originate actually as a business based on technology itself. So if you look at most of the smart meters across the DCC network across the country, you would probably find Tomato Energy just being sat there behind your smart meters with regards to our energy optimization and monitoring, and constantly striving to reduce the costs for people on the electricity bills. We're innovating through the concept of energy as a service, which is just all about providing the electricity ecosystem to domestic premises, to commercial and all the other areas of life, which is making electricity supply so much more inclusive and affordable to people, and actually fixing people's costs on the monthly bills. So we're basically just giving individuals, groups, organizations this peace of mind where people can actually plan ahead and understand what the bills will be like, instead of getting a surprise in 5 months' time when the electricity bills are so much higher than they expected or agreed with the energy provider. But we're also driving with this innovative concept of Tomatopia, which is actually building communities of the future, which is all about, utopia, leading sustainable lives, living that perfect life. And, we could be spending time talking about what is actually perfect. Is it even possible? But if we can even just make that, dent or two, and really been able to demonstrate that this is possible, that if we include communities, local people as part of the energy system, when you empower people, when you actually enable them to understand how energy supply works, what's actually available out there for people, making it affordable and inclusive, it's just creating that real powerful voice for the energy sector and for our environment. So there is a huge amount of innovation that we're spearheading on.
Thank you. Sue, if I can come to you next. And this time, we know you have been pursuing lots of technologies, and we have examples of electric vehicles, we have example of solar panels, we have examples of smart meter, and so on. All these things are really important, but it's also your staff. If they don't use them properly, if they don't subscribe to some of these innovations and so on. So could you please briefly share, how do you engage your staff and the wider community, if that's relevant here, in your sustainability efforts?
How do we engage the staff means educating them. Yeah, giving information for them. So we do have a WhatsApp group for our staff. So we constantly putting the information on, this is what we are doing this is what you have to do. And it just keep on repeating that information for them, makes them, to go on, keep on going on the things, what we supposed to achieve for. In the community, obviously, we have Facebook groups, we have Instagram groups. and we have social media, we have websites. So we constantly putting the information and updating the information. So the customers, and we send newsletters to the customers as well, so they know what we are doing, especially with the solar panels, the electric vehicle charging points that we are planning to put in future. And then how much, what we are doing in that particular project. It's just keep on educating them in various platforms.
Let's briefly hear from you about the future, because we can see a lot has happened so far and more is happening. But let's also talk about the kind of expected trends. So let's hear from you, Dominika. What are the emerging kind of trends or technologies do you see they will play a crucial role in the future of sustainability? And if possible, if you can link it to the healthcare as well.
Sure. I think the overarching theme there, particularly when it comes to the energy sector, is actually generating electricity on demand and decentralizing and going towards the microgrid aspect. So you are not necessarily saying, that the grid is, is a bad guy, and we need to be bringing, a superhero into the local communities, which is, the microgrid is the only solution. We need to give people choices. We need to have alternatives. So yes, we've been relying on the legacy grid infrastructure, which can take, so much technology, but we're still very much reliant on it. By doing what we're doing is what we're giving people that option, and keeping that resilience within the local communities. I mean, future is really positive. Future is really exciting. If we continue the education, if we continue working with collaborators and working in those partnerships. So in terms of the healthcare, again, I think we mentioned it during the workshop earlier, that healthcare, yes, we're talking about manufacturing, we're talking about transport, and, all of those big energy consumers and carbon emissions companies that are releasing, so many carbon emissions. Healthcare is also facing its own challenges when it comes to the environment, and by getting together at the workshops like today, like this morning, we're able to really see that change and see the understanding across the room that, in the next few years or so, at least having those, the foundations in terms of their sustainability plans, and even, triggering some sort of movement in terms of making it happen in a practical setting, like, for example, with you and Acer Healthcare. It's actually just putting those controls in place already, and you're doing, you're already doing that, Sue. So it's great to see.
Thank you. Just as a last comment from Sue, you have been part of the decarbonization net zero program. How has the journey been for you, and what advice do you have for others?
The journey has been fantastic. Looking at the energy bill, how much it's been reduced. That's like a godsend. That's all I can say. And then looking at the the carbon emission, how much that we are reducing by looking at the app every day. And myself and my colleague, we just open the app every day and then get ourselves excited. Oh my God, this much thing that we are reducing, obviously saving our planet and everything. That's been a really fantastic journey. It's just 1 week since we implemented it, and much more to go and much more to see, and we are looking forward into it. Then maybe after 6 months we have finalized a figure, and then we can show it to everybody how much we've saved and how much it's coming out of the solar panels.
Dominika, Sue, Dhiren, thank you so much for sharing your valuable views on the topic. And thank you so much for sparing time for coming today and participating in the podcast. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.